He is 3 years into a degree he does not want. He knew by the end of the first year, maybe earlier. The classes felt like they belonged to someone else's life. The reading was heavy and pointless in a way he could feel but not explain. He thought about switching. He looked at other programs, other schools, other paths. He even started a transfer application once, got halfway through the form and closed the tab. 3 years. 3 years of tuition his parents helped pay. 3 years of exams and late nights and a social circle built entirely around this one department. Switching now would mean starting over. 3 years would become a line on no resume. So he registers for the 4th year. He tells his friends he is almost done. He tells himself the degree will be worth it once he has it, the way people tell themselves the weather will be nice once summer arrives. He calls it commitment. It is not commitment, it is arithmetic. 3 years is a number. The number is too large to abandon. Abandoning it means admitting that 3 years were spent walking in the wrong direction, and that admission costs more than 1 more year of walking, so he walks. Not because the destination is right, because turning around is expensive. The cage does not have walls. It has a calendar and a tuition receipt. This is the sunk cost trap. It is the tendency to keep going with something because of what you have already put into it, even when stopping would cost less than continuing. The trap works in 3 stages. Stage 1, you invest something: time, money, effort, emotion, identity, reputation. The investment feels normal. It is normal. Everyone invests in things. Stage 2, the return starts to fade. The job stops growing you. The project stops making sense. The relationship stops being what it was. But the amount already invested does not fade with it. It keeps getting larger because you are still inside it, still spending, still giving hours and energy and years. Stage 3, you think about quitting, and your brain runs the numbers, not the numbers going forward. The numbers going backward. Everything you already put in. Quitting means writing all of it to 0. So you put in more. Each new deposit makes the account harder to close. Each day the cage gets smaller, but each day the cage also feels more reasonable, because you have been inside it 1 day longer than yesterday. The trap does not catch reckless people. It catches careful ones. The more precisely you track what you have spent, the harder it is to walk away from the total. The trait that looks like wisdom, keeping count, honoring your investment, is the exact trait that locks the door. In 1985, 2 psychologists named Hal Arkes and Catherine Blumer ran a study at a university theater in Ohio. They sold season tickets to a series of 10 plays. One group paid full price, $15. A second group received a modest discount. A third group got the tickets free. All 3 groups had the same seats, the same schedule, the same plays performed by the same actors on the same stage. Then the researchers watched who actually showed up. Over the first half of the season, the full-price buyers attended significantly more performances than anyone else. They came when they were tired. They came when the play was bad. They came on nights when they would have clearly preferred to stay home. The only variable between the person who showed up and the person who did not was what they had paid before walking through the door. The play was identical. The evening was identical. The past receipt was different, and the past receipt won. It did not matter that the money was already gone, already spent, already unrecoverable, whether they sat in the seat or stayed home. The receipt still held them in the chair. The trap does not stop at theatre tickets. In 1962, the British and French governments began building the Concorde, a supersonic passenger jet that would cross the Atlantic in 3.5 hours. Within a few years, both governments knew the project would never earn back its cost. The expenses were climbing faster than any forecast. The market for supersonic travel was a fraction of what they had projected. Airlines were not placing orders. Internal reports said clearly that the rational decision was to cancel. They continued for over 2 decades. Billions of pounds and francs poured into an aircraft that every economist in both countries said should not exist. The project became so famous as an example of this trap that economists still call it the Concorde fallacy. 2 national governments, staffed by people who could define sunk costs in their sleep, could not stop spending because the amount already spent had become the reason to spend more. The cage does not care about intelligence. It has no interest in how well you understand it. It only asks one question: how much have you already put in? You have a version of this somewhere. Not a supersonic jet. Something quieter. A job you have held long enough that your primary reason for staying is how long you have been there. Not the work, not the growth, not where it leads. The duration. You have built an entire identity inside that job. The person who knows the shortcuts, who knows which meetings matter and which ones are theatre, who knows how the building works in ways a new hire would need years to learn, and leaving would mean watching that person disappear. Starting over would feel like subtraction, so you stay. You call it experience, or there is a skill you spent years learning. A tool, a method, a way of doing things that used to be the best way available. Something better exists now. You have seen it work. You know it is faster and cleaner. You have watched someone half your age pick it up in a month. But learning it would mean sitting in a chair, feeling like a beginner. And the years you spent mastering the old way would quietly stop being your edge and start being your history. So you keep sharpening the old blade. 4 years of practice protecting you from 4 weeks of learning. You call it preference. Or there is a relationship where the strongest argument for staying is the calendar. Not how it feels on a Tuesday evening. Not where it is heading, how long it has been going. 8 years, 11 years. The years become load-bearing walls. Removing them feels like the whole structure would collapse. You are not staying for what the relationship gives you today. You are staying for what leaving would erase from yesterday. You call it loyalty. The part of this trap that nobody warns you about is the part that makes it almost permanent. Seeing the cage does not open it. You can learn the name. You can read the Arkes and Blumer study. You can explain the Concorde fallacy at a dinner party and watch people nod and say they had never thought of it that way. You can become the person who spots sunk cost reasoning in other people's decisions the way a mechanic spots engine noise. And the next morning, you will drive to the same job, open the same software, sit across from the same person at the same kitchen table, and your brain will whisper the same sentence it has always whispered. I have come this far. That sentence sounds like courage. It is a lock. It sounds like perseverance. It is a receipt. It sounds like a reason to keep going. It is a record of what you have already lost, dressed up as a reason to lose more. You are not finishing what you started. You are paying for what you have already paid for, which is the one transaction that never makes sense and never stops feeling like it does. Somewhere on your phone right now, there is a subscription you have been meaning to cancel for months. You do not use it. You have not opened it since March. You keep paying because cancelling would mean the months you already paid were wasted. So you hand over another $4.99. The cage does not need to be large. It just needs to have your name on the bill.